the track at the World. We are tied.
Look at this. He's standing there. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh, dropping a big leg. Over for the cover. He got it. Unbelievable.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Awesome. He got it. The starter. Mike Tyson in. Austin is the champion. Stone Cold. Stone Cold. Stone Cold. Now the 2-2. Well hit down the left field line. Way back in.
Touch a ball, Drew. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Oh my God, no! Mankind did it! Nick Foley did it! No! Stone Cold did it! Mankind has achieved his dream and the dream of everyone else who's been told you can't do it! No! You can't do it! No matter what, got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Happy I finally remembered my pen. Big day. Anyway, we are there. You go yours. What's up, connection? Welcome to WWE WAR Wrestling Above Replacement. I am JT, joined by my buddy Marcus, and this podcast is simulcast across all of North South Connection on audio, on all podcast applications except for those bitches at Spotify, and on video on our YouTube channel at North South Connection. And I say it every episode. I'll say it again here for anyone that's new and stumbling across us. This is a very visual-based podcast. I recommend checking us out on YouTube because we have a lot of different graphics and numbers and rankings and stats, and it's easier to track, I think, when you're looking at it. I think we explained it eloquently enough, but if you're watching, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of follow along. But we are excited to be here, as always, on North South Connection. We have a lot of cool content coming. Clash in Paris time. I think when this drops, it's going to be just after, maybe. But we will have had a preview for every match. We're going to have a post show that weekend going on. So be sure to check that out. Also, we're paying tribute to 1995 throughout this year with No So 95. A lot of audio and video content paying tribute to the year that was 1995 in pop culture, sports, wrestling, and beyond. So check that out. So we have a lot of cool stuff that's been all throughout the year. You can find that in both of our feeds. And tonight, though, we are talking WWE wrestling, some would say. Marcus, how are you?
I'm good. And among the reasons to watch, we are a t-shirt pod.
We are a t-shirt
We've
pod.
always got a great selection of t-shirts. So, but yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. Definitely got some memories of this show that we can talk about when we get fired up here. But it's a fun podcast we do. We go through every WWE pay-per-view in history in a seasonal format, which means we start with the pay-per-view following WrestleMania in any given calendar year and wrap with WrestleMania the following year. So this season, we began with Extreme Rules 2013. We're going to wrap with WrestleMania 30 in about a month, coming up fast, another season in the books. Tonight, we'll be covering Royal Rumble 2014. We do that on a metrics-based style, and we'll get into the rules right now. We're going to throw it over to producer Tim, who's with us, does all the graphics and helps keep the show up and running, does a great job, and we thank him for it. So why don't we throw it over to him to read the rules of this here show.
Welcome to WWE WAR. I'm producer Tim. JT and Marcus have taken on the noble task of finding the true answer to the age-old question wrestling fans have debated for years. What is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time? To find the answer, WAR looks to explore each and every pay-per-view using a plus-minus scale at a baseline average, where things above average gain a point and things below average lose a point. WWE WAR grades on several categories including match quality, build, commentary, atmosphere, notable moments, card structure, and rewatchability. The magic number to remember for WWE WAR is 2.5. That is the baseline number for an average replacement level match. Any grade higher or lower than 2.5 raises or lowers the average WAR score. For example, if JT and Marcus give a match a 3-star rating, then that match is 0.5 points above replacement. Add all of the totals up and you get your nice round number to give you your match quality grade. There's also a bonus. If there is a match that both JT and Marcus rate 4.25 or higher, or 0.75 or lower, that match gains or loses a point for either an all-time great match or an all-time bad match. By the time we're done, we will have composed the most comprehensive list ever for WWE pay-per-views to give you the answer of what is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time. Take it away, boys.
It's time to rumble. It's the Royal Rumble. Always a fun night, of course, our Rumble, one of the most exciting pay-per-view nights of the calendar year. The kicks off the road to WrestleMania and all the other platitudes that come with it. Tonight we're covering Royal Rumble 2014, Marcus. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Consol Energy Center, 15,715 in attendance on January 6, 2014. And in that 15,000 was a contingent from this year Place to Be Nation / North South Connection group, including yours truly, buddy. And I know the story's floated around, but I don't know if I've really told it because we don't really ever review this show. But it was an interesting night, my friend. So I flew with my good buddy, Mr. Andrew Flanagan, and we had a brief layover in Newark. It was an odd flight to Pittsburgh. It was like we went to Newark, and then we took like the smallest plane in history from Newark to Pittsburgh. And I felt okay in Newark. We get on the plane in Pittsburgh, and it's only like 35-minute flight. It's a short flight. And it's got the one row of seats and like on each side. So I'm behind Andy, and about halfway on the flight, I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I had a hot chocolate in Newark. So I'm like, maybe like the milk was bad or something. So I tell him, and we had to check our bags like just on the jet bridge or whatever. So we had to get all of our bags before we got off the plane. So I tell him like, dude, you're going to get my bag. As soon as we land, I'm booking it to the bathroom. Like I got to get whatever out of me. So I go, I think I get it out. I'm like, I'm feeling okay. We get to Pittsburgh and it's like a blizzard. It is snowing. So we get a cab and it's like a 35-minute ride or whatever. And we're going slow as hell in this cab through the snow. And the whole time I'm just like, this isn't good. Like whatever's going on is not good. So we get to the hotel, we check in, I book it to the bathroom and just puke my brains out. And I'm like, this can't be happening. So like I'm a mess. I'm throwing up all afternoon. I'm laying like, you have like stomach bugs and then there's stomach bugs. Like this was a stomach bug. Like I was on the floor wishing for fucking death. Like this clinging to the cold bathroom floor. I remember like laying on the bed and the fryers were on and I'm like trying to watch the game. And like, I remember Chad came in, I forget who was with him. And he's like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, dude, I cannot even move. I am comatose. So they all go out. I don't know if they went to the strip club, whatever they all go, right? The group goes. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I'm hurting. So that night, we're supposed to go to Ring of Honor, going to see Kevin. And it was a cool show, like on paper lined up and stuff. We're all excited. We're going to do some picks with Kevin and all that. So
this is the Saturday night right before the Rumble.
This is the Saturday night. Yes. Okay. The Rumble Sunday. This is Saturday. So we got in Saturday morning. So, and usually with these, like you're cooked for like a day, right? So I had got everything out of me by like 4 p.m. I'm just like dead to the world. So they come back and they're like, do you want to come to ROH? And I'm like, so I drag myself up, I shower, and Andy, I'm like, we'll meet everyone at the show. Like Andy will get me there. So I am like a ghost. I mean, I got to pull the picture up. I'll try and find it. It's somewhere out there. I look like fucking Casper. Like I am so white and washed out. I go shower. He helps me down the stairs. I go to the little commissary, whatever, the hotel. I get like a package of saltines and some ginger ale. I'm like eating that.
Strapped up.
And then everything is like walking distance. So he walks me in the snow over to the arena for ROH, and I'm like a little old woman. I'm like all bundled up in my fucking coat, like I had nothing in me, so I'm so weak. So we get to ROH, and I'm sitting in the back, like I can barely fucking move or talk. And I got this great picture. I'll find it as we go, but it's me and Kevin, and I just look like death warmed over. I made it through the show. It's one of my favorite nights because Mark Poirier got to meet Hansen. He was like a big Hansen fan, and that was the big hope that he could meet Hansen. We go to a bar after, and I barely hang on through that. The next day I rallied, but I couldn't eat like the whole day. Like we went to a couple of bars and hung out and stuff, and then I made it through the Rumble, and I finally ate. Like the first time I ate, besides those saltines, was at the Rumble. I think I got like chicken fingers or something, and just to get something in my body. So then the worst part is Flanagan is like a notorious like snorer. I don't know if it's gotten better since he's gotten in better shape, but he has like the sleep apnea level of snoring. And if you were sharing a room with him and you didn't fall asleep before him, it's a real problem. So Roger had arrived by this point. So where the three of us are sharing a room, Roger's on a cot, and I'm like, dude, we have to fall asleep before Andy or we're fucked. And I hadn't slept, and I could not fall asleep. And before I know it, the big man's cutting logs, and I'm just laying there like in fucking misery, just unable to. And I remember we had like an early flight out the next day. It was a rough weekend. And then when you add in all the shit that happened at the show with Brian and all that, which we'll get to, it was just layered on top of it. Just a rough few days, man. But it's an infamous PTVN story. My Schittsburg stomach bug weekend. When Brett said you'd put the enema in Pittsburgh, he was not wrong on that night, for sure for me.
Well, I had a much healthier, better time. I was also at Victoria's bar and restaurant for this show as well, like I was for Money in the Bank 2013. So I remember for this show, there was sound on like the TVs going through the bar, but it was mostly being drowned out through like everybody that was there. So watching the Rumble and kind of seeing the events of the night unfold, and some people thinking, with the outcome of the first match that it was going to set things up for it later, and I was like, I don't think so. That looked like a kill move.
I definitely thought they were setting up for later. Like I even remember because we were all kind of sitting near each other that night. Like we were spread out, but we were all kind of near each other. And I remember like after he lost, Mark Claire getting up and he's like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. He's going to win the Rumble. Like we were super confident. Like it was just setting up for him to come out later and eliminate Bray and win the Rumble. Like we definitely thought it. On top of it, by the way, Andy, who is in recovery, basically, some dude fucking dumped a beer on him like in the beginning of the show. And he had to sit the whole show soaked in beer. Man. I'm like, it was awful. It's like just one of those weekends where everything that could go wrong went wrong. But yeah, we definitely thought 100% that opener meant that.
Okay. No, I said, oh, okay, he's cooked for the night. So one more note here, unless you said it and I zoned out, which my bad. But while this event is known for so many other interesting things, one interesting piece of history goes overlooked. For the first time in Royal Rumble history, a winner has won twice from the same entry number.
Yeah, that's a cool stat.
Big Dave Batista winning from 27, I believe.
Yeah, and it's crazy it took that long, honestly.
Yeah, that's 9 years?
So yeah, it's a long time. I would not have guessed that long.
That's a long time.
I would have thought for sure sooner. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get into the show? Let's bring this up here. We did have one dark match, which we don't rate on ours, but it's worth noting because the New Age Outlaws make their return as a team and defeat Cody Rhodes and Goldust to win the tag team titles, which really kind of set the night up in an interesting direction because Cody and Goldust were so hot in the fall coming off that Shield feud, and this felt like what are we doing? Like it just set up the night of bad decisions right out of the gate that the Outlaws. I mean, it was a cool nostalgia moment to see the Outlaws, but I would have never guessed again that they were going to win. And to stick it on the pre-show, like I think they did have room on this card to stick this on the main card if they wanted to. For sure. Even if they just gave it 5 or 6 minutes, it is like such a slap for the Rhodes brothers to not only lose the belt so easily, not only lose them to the fucking New Age Outlaws, but to also lose it on the pre-show was like such a, just like, what are we doing, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like, current day where you're on the pre-show and it's not the knock that it once was because of YouTube and streaming, and it's on all these other apps and stuff like that. So it's actually like, a decent spot to be in because it's a lot of extra eyeballs on you. But yeah, that wasn't the case at this time. So it was kind of like, what are we doing? And I get the Outlaws getting titles because for them to do their whole act, it helps if they are the tag team champions of the world. But yeah, to beat the Rhodes brothers, who, like you said, had been red hot for this summer and fall heading into this, it was quite the surprise.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's roll on. We'll get to our opening match as we go through the matches here, and that is Daniel Bryan taking on Bray Wyatt. It looks like I like this a little bit better than you. I went 4. I think it really holds up. I think it's Bray's best non-gimmick match, at least for a while. Non like 6-man either. Obviously, we know the stuff that's coming, but like I think just one-on-one singles action. This is really, really good. And if you take out the Bryan, if you put this in a real vacuum and take out the angst around Bryan for the night and the push and the angle, like I think he does a really good job. And I like the story of like working the head and the neck. And when he does the Sister Abigail into the barricade is a really cool spot. And it makes sense in a way, right? Bray needed a big win. They have the great yes, yes, yes moment on Raw leading up to this, which is really cool. So I think in a vacuum, it's like a really cool moment in feud. It's just that Bryan is like in the wrong place, wrong time. Like everyone else wanted him in the main event scene, especially on this show going toward Mania. So it was just like cool in a vacuum, but in the big picture, it felt like a big whiff. And especially when Bray wins clean again, it created a mix of angst and false hope that this was just kind of the fake tease out for him to show up later and end up winning the Rumble, which obviously does not happen, as we'll get to. But the match itself, looked at on its own, to me, holds up.
Yeah, it is good, and I know I'm low on it. There's just something with these two, I think, in every match they have, where it's just like 5 minutes too long. And Bray starts to slip into IRS mode a little bit for me. And Bryan will gladly kind of oblige, being, the wrestler that he is, having no problem, grinding out a hold or slowing things down. But that said, these two do have really good chemistry. Whether it's the Rumble match from 2020, I believe, or this one here, that Sister Abigail spot into the barricade for the time was such a shock, because this is before like apron bumps and moves on the outside are really getting spammed in WWE. So seeing something like that was a true shocker. And so I understand people thinking, okay, well, Bryan lost the match, it sets things up for later. For me, I saw that Sister Abigail, which was a heavily protected finish, into the barricade, and I said, oh, he's written off for the night. He's cooked. He's done. That's that. And you just wonder if like they would have committed more and done like a stretcher job, then like it just kind of raises the expectation that like, okay, well, surely he's going to come back from the stretcher. Like
Right.
I felt like anything they try to do to kind of highlight that, like, oh no, he's done for the night, just feeds more into the expectation of like, no, he's coming back out to beat the odds and win the Rumble.
It felt that way to me for sure in the moment. And if, like you said, they were just feeding into that, vibe the entire time, whether it was fair or not. We often are victims of our own fantasy booking when it comes to this stuff, right? But I think this was more than just like wish casting and fantasy booking. Like when you looked at where Bryan was and how he was involved in everything, and the groundswell and all that, it definitely felt like a little bit they were hinting you toward that. In the yes. Well, we'll talk about when we get to Bill. Let's roll on. So let's get to our next match, Marcus.
Yep. We've got Brock Lesnar taking on the Big Show. I went to 1.75. This is a shorter match. Brock gets to jump on Big Show early. They do the whole bit of, is the match going to start? And then they have a pretty quick match afterwards. So Brock goes up on this, kind of puts to bed the little bit of Big Show run that we had from the fall, where he boosts the yes chance and takes some of Bryan's heat. This kind of puts that to bed. So Yeah, I went 1.75.
Yeah, I did not like this at all. And this is really in the stretch of time where, and we've talked about this throughout the season, it felt like, man, we don't know how long Brock has, and we're just pissing these matches away. It was like we wasted 3 on Triple H. We had the great Punk match. And then it's like, since then, we haven't seen him. And now he's fighting fucking Big Show on the undercard of the Rumble. Like, it felt like we were just in this weird swirl of wasting Brock when he could be fighting all these different guys and having cool matches. And fine, you want to put him with Big Show. You know, they had chemistry in 2003. Okay, maybe they can dial it back a little bit. But the booking of this is just real weird with all the chair shots and the attack. And it just was an odd flow. It does not hold up in any way. I was hopeful maybe, yeah, all right, maybe looking back, it'd be kind of a cool type and style, but it did not hold up or resonate with me at all. I found it to be just kind of annoying and like never ending and a waste. I mean, I was fine with Big Show getting his shit pushed in because I thought he's been super annoying in the back end of 2013 and deserved a beating. But if you look at where Brock goes for Mania and what that is, this does not feel like any way he's been springboarded to that. Like, this should have been a statement night for him to beat someone and like get ready to challenge for the streak. And instead it's like, all right, he's having a chair fight with Big Show. Like, it felt very like a miss. Like, I just would have left him off the show. Like, honestly, had him return like the next night on Raw and set up for Mania that way. But 1.5 for me. It's a forgotten footnote in Brock's history. And during a run where everyone was like, what are we doing with this guy? We had him back for 2 years and we're not getting much out of him right now. All right, next up on the docket, we go to a very divisive match, and that is John Cena taking on Randy Orton, who's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The belts were merged back at TLC. This is the rematch. I will say they rose above in this one because this is the infamous match where the crowd really is like checked out on them. We were pissed still about Bryan. We were done. It was a very rebellious crowd, and I don't think it's even fair to either guy necessarily, but I was at a couple of shows during the stretch from WrestleMania 29 to here, and it felt very much like the crowd and fans were done with the John Cena era on top. Like, it's like, all right, we've seen this, we've been here, we've done this since 2006. Orton's been a fine heel, but he's in the way of Daniel Bryan, and that's who everyone wants. And it felt very much like the crowd was just cooked on this. Like, we have no interest in John Cena again wrestling for the world title. They're working headlocks and chin locks, and you think this is going to be another Goldberg Brock WrestleMania 20 scenario. And then they amp it up and they start to play off the crowd and play to the crowd a little bit. And the crowd kind of comes back around. And I think they actually have a pretty good closing stretch to win them back over into Orton retaining. So I went 3.25 because I think they actually do a good job bringing everyone back into it. But man, for a while, this was looking grim.
Yeah. 3.5 for me. The strength of what you just said, like, seeing that live crowd work and how they kind of lean into it and get the crowd back and get them following along and get them down for the home stretch of the match. It's just the kind of thing, even in this 2014 WWE, which can already start to feel like a little bit of a simulation. This is like not something you're really going to get these days. So kind of had an appreciation for it. But yeah, 3.5 for me. I disagree with the match type. 20 minutes of these guys when the fans are fed up with seeing them together. And everybody's just kind of waiting for the Rumble is a really tough ask of them, tough ask of the crowd. But yeah, as far as just a isolated match, it was pretty decent. So before we get to the
short
Rumble,
undercard. It's a short undercard.
Yeah.
And that again is why don't we have like the Rose Brothers match on the pay-per-view? You know what I mean? Like, it felt very, we only had 3 matches, which is light for Rumble. I mean, nowadays we have 4 matches, but 2 of them are Rumbles. Like, this felt very light.
Yeah, and 30 minutes in between matches nowadays too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does take us to our main event of the evening. It is the Royal Rumble, with the winner getting a title shot. Main event of WrestleMania 30. Of course, it comes down to the final 2, as you see there. Roman Reigns, the big dog, Mr. Uaa, and Dave Bautista. I went to 3.75. This bordered on getting close to 4. I just feel like we've had bad luck with Rumbles on this show. We've yet to really hit like a run of like really classic Rumbles. However, for the Rumbles that we've covered, this one stands out. This one was pretty good. It had a good mix of surprises, legend pops. Didn't rely too heavily on that. You had a good mix of the current crop of guys. You had a couple favorites, and yeah, I've talked with our buddy Aaron about this a million times, and understand that some of the fan sentiment might have been whoever was going to be across from Batista was going to receive that reaction. And I believe that no. I think going back to like Survivor Series, going back to TLC, I think the fans really got behind Roman. And you saw kind of the shift in the Shield with Roman kind of becoming, I would say, the lead of the group, but the star moving forward. And I think this was a big night towards that. I mean, yeah, the rest is kind of history, but 3.75 for me. And, as a Batista fan, I didn't like the MMA Batista look. He came back really slow. Just not
he came back
Batista
entitled.
of old.
He came back entitled. He came back like a guy that they said, come back, promote your movie, and we'll give you the belt. And he's like, okay. I think he figures that out pretty quick, because I think for the last couple months of the run, he does work himself back into shape and takes it serious. But for this first month, you can tell, I think he thought he was just going to cakewalk back in and just kind of do his thing and be over, but he didn't realize the buzzsaw he was walking into.
Like, what if they brought him back as Hollywood Dave?
Right. Yeah.
Now
I think they just didn't. I don't think they
different.
thought about it that much. I think they figured the crowd, Batista, the crowd's going to love him. He's in a big movie. Like, it's a star coming back, and everyone will be excited that he's going to come back and beat Randy Orton for the fans. Like, I just don't think they weren't really accepting yet what Bryan meant to the fans at this point, and how nobody was going to eclipse that. And it's true. No one outside of maybe The Undertaker, nobody was going to be okay to the fans in this regard, right? Nobody was going to be the choice. And I went 3 3/4 as well. Which is a lower end Rumble for me. I usually baseline a Rumble at 4. So I'll say this. It wasn't as bad as I remember. There was actually some decent spots, but there's also not a lot cooking in there either. There's not a ton of super memorable things. The crowd, you can feel them waiting for Bryan. And once we get to, is it Dolph at 28? No, Del Rio at 27. Del Rio at 27 is where things start to kind of go downhill. And then Batista comes out, and then Big E comes out, and that dude was wrong place, wrong time, just gets shit on for no reason but that he's not Daniel Bryan, just completely torn apart. And then Ray at 30 just gets completely destroyed as well, which Ray never gets booed. He gets booed, but not like that. No one was happy to see him. And then you start getting the desperation. Well, maybe they'll do 31 guys. Maybe, maybe they'll come out and say he's still going to wrestle, whatever. Right? And then you realize, nope. And then everyone just is like, all right, we're just going to root for Reigns. And Reigns has a big night. He has a ton of eliminations. Lost at all this. This is his Punk last match. And I feel like he has a bad rap for this match. I don't think he's as lazy and in the corner as history leads you to believe. He's actually way more active than I thought. I thought it was like a Road Dogg 2000 deal where he just lays in the corner the whole time, but he's active watching it. Okay, he actually did a lot more. The elimination is weak, but the crowd was clinging to him too, because without Bryan, it's well, at least we got Punk, at least we got him in there. So that was something that we could, cling on to as fans, but then he gets thrown out as well. So anyway, just a forgettable night, and I feel bad for Batista. It's that's another pretty infamous PTB lore, is that the Cowboy, Mr. Morissette, had just gotten back into wrestling and did not like Daniel Bryan. He said he was too small and not believable in any way. So he went all in on Batista that night and bought a Batista shirt and made it his gimmick that he was anti-Daniel Bryan. So he was going nuts for Batista and starting a bunch of BS in the lobby, chanting for Batista. And then he infamously bought a shirt for his wife that he thought was the Ultimate Warrior, but it was the Usos. So that was funny. He didn't realize. So she had like one of the early Uso shirts, which again, they end up being icons, one of the maybe the greatest tag team ever. So it worked out. But that was his gimmick for the first year of him being like in PTV, was like pro Batista, anti Bryan. So anyway,
I respect it.
Yeah. All right. So that said, our final war score for all of our matches is 275. So pretty low, on the low end of okay in ring. Let's get to build our next category. Here are the pros. We gave a point for the all-time yes in a cage, pays off Bryan escaping the Wyatts, +2. It's a really memorable moment. They actually still play it at the Providence Friars games because that show took place in Providence. So when like they need to rally the crowd, like during a timeout, they'll do the Bryan, or after like a big run, they'll do the Bryan in the cage doing the yes, and everyone does it with them. I did not go to that Raw because we had to interview Steve Corino, and I didn't want to cancel on Corino on PTB. And in retrospect, I wish I canceled on Steve Corino and went to that Raw. He ended up being a bit of a nerd, and I missed the all-time Bryan show, but whatever. Point for Big Show fighting off Brock after Brock injures Mark Henry. A point for the Authority and Orton still dealing with Cena, driving Orton insane. We even get a Johnny Fab moment in here where he gets beaten up. Old John Cena Sr. A point for Punk being forced into the number 1 slot by Kane and the Authority, and then a point for Punk still going to battle with the Shield. So it was some decent build going into this.
Let's check out our cons or negatives. We get the authority, corporate structure, face at WWE, all that stuff. It's been a big negative this season. It continues here. Not many stories banked into the actual Royal Rumble match. A lot of random draws, surprises, just kind of a collection of talent. And then you get the abrupt change, of course, from Bryan with the Wyatt family to free them up for a big match, John, because we know Cena's going to swoop in here and kind of work with the hot hand of Bray Wyatt.
So not a bad build for the show. I mean, again, not strong, but fine. +3. Let's get to commentary. It's been our same team. The one season we have the same freaking team as this team, JBL, Cole, and kidding. Every other season I feel like we're jumping around, but this one's steady. We give a point for doing a good job of the in-depth storytelling of Bryan and Wyatt. I actually thought they're pretty strong in that match. A point for JBL. This is funny. He said, "Why do we only book cold cities in the winter?" Because I think, where do they go for the chamber? It's somewhere cold as well, I think. We'll get to it in a couple weeks. But when they announced that, he says, "Why do we only book these cold weather cities in the winter?" A really good all-star panel. They have past Rumble winners, and they kind of do different picks of the winners, so that was cool. Point for the good job correlating each entrant with past winners at each number and how many Rumbles they've been in. So, here's Dolph Ziggler at 15. So-and-so won at 15 back in 1993, and Dolph's been in 5 Rumbles. So they give a lot of cool stats. JBL has some funny Torito jokes. He says that both hooves have to hit the ground to be eliminated. Also, when Ryback is eliminated, JBL says, "Well, he'll be tweeting tonight." This is during the tweet and Ryback era. I don't think that ever ended, honestly. And then a point for JBL being the surprise entrant. Then he comes back to the table and kind of does the acts like he wasn't really in the ring bit, which always kind of hits. So it was a good night for JBL. He kind of carried the load in this evening.
Yeah, surprisingly good. Let's see if they blow it in the cons. We've got yuck yuck all season with these guys. Maggle. Overboard. All the fans have an opinion, covering for the crowd, crapping on Cena and Orton. We get JBL says that Bryan already wrestled and lost as the crowd chants for him. Cole says the JBL character has never entered a Rumble. We get the announcer struggling down the stretch to not get affected by the crowd.
Oh, yeah, they're falling apart at the end there. They're trying, but they are. It was bad, man. It was. Well, I guess we'll talk about it atmosphere. Go ahead.
No, and last note here, we get a Cole with a note and value proposition for every entrant immediately upon arrival. Immediately. So while the content was actually good, like the music hits and Cole is just, hey, this is Dolph Ziggler. This is his 5th Royal Rumble. He has X number. Like, it's like
they don't
A-Rod.
let him at all. He's like on
it's
it.
It's like A-Rod in the booth where he goes through 4 plate appearances worth of stats for a guy, and he blows it on the first plate appearance.
Well, it's like almost like he gives away that he knew who was coming out, which obviously he knows, but it's cool just to like have some believability that they maybe didn't. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't mind sometimes if they don't tip that off. All right, so commentary, which 0. That's pretty good for this team, honestly. Like there's some decent stuff in there. All right, atmosphere. We got a point for the monster pop for Brian for his entrance, a point for the Wyatt entrance, which also always hits, a point for the crowd being engaged throughout that whole opening match. They were good. And if Brian wins and goes on to the Rumble or something, I think this whole show goes different in so many ways. A point for the crowd being fired up for Big Ben Roethlisberger being in the house. A point for the massive pop for the Wyatts during the world title match when they interfere and, laying the seeds for the match with Cena at Mania with Bray, which is interesting because, you thought maybe Bray-Bryan rematch at that point at Mania. We'll get to where it was supposed to go, but a point for the huge pop for the Outlaws tag title win. Like, crowd was into it. A point for the pop and swell for Punk. A point for the crowd still being into Ziggler despite him being buried the whole season. A point for the big pop for the shocking return of Kevin Nash for the big surprise. A point for the crowd getting super into Reigns at the end. Anyone but Batista. But like you said, they're kind of into Reigns anyway a little bit, so why not? And then a point for the pops with the Legends panel. They all get a nice reaction.
Yeah. All right, let's check out our cons. We get a basic set for a massive show. Things are slimmed down there. Super basic set. Sad to see. Crowd nervous and pensive when Brian loses on that moment, but bad harbinger of things to come. We get the crowd quiet for the Brock entrance. Rare lack of buzz for him. Does not feel like the megastar that is Brock Lesnar. The attraction is coming out.
He's got the penis hat on. It just feels like
crowd out on Cena. Crowd goes insane for Cena Orton. Cheering very loudly for Brian. Cheering boring. Booing everything. Calling out Randy Savage. Jericho. Rob Van Dam gets a shout out. Anything else? It's complete madness.
It's an all-timer. I think it's up there with Goldberg Brock. I mentioned it before at 20.
Yeah.
And then the Rumble the next year with the crowd hijacks as well. Like, this is a short list of like times where the crowd really just goes haywire. And this is one of them. Like, they just completely take over this match. And again, Orton and Cena deserve credit because they do win them back over and turn it around. But man, it got ugly there for a bit.
So -3 for all that. We got the crowd angry with Batista immediately upon entering. Zero reaction for poor Big E at the death spot at number 29. Poor Mysterio being crucified just for not being Daniel Bryan on this night. The crowd destroys the end of the Rumble. All time pissing on a match and the winner. -3 there. And the crowd being pissed at Kane eliminating Punk.
It's an all-time bad, like, and not even bad in like, you get bad crowds where it's like deathly quiet or, just a lame crowd, right? You think of some of the Anaheim crowds or whatever for Mania, like there's lazy crowds, but this crowd is just fucking angry and like they are pissed and they are not afraid to let anyone hear how pissed they are. So it's an all-time crowd and it kills the show. Like that and the booking just completely neutered the show that had potential, because I'll tell you, watching it, I'm like, all right, that opener's not bad. The crowd's kind of into the Outlaws. Brock is lame, but at least comes out strong with the shit kicking. Cena and Orton turn things around, fine. Brian wins the real, like we go home happy, right? I mean, like it felt like there's a pivot point in there. But man, yeah. All right, score for atmosphere, -3.
Yikes.
Let's go to notable moments. A lot does happen on the show. Wyatt beats Brian clean during Brian's peak, which is a big win for Wyatt. A point for Wyatt costing Cena the world title match to kick off their Mania feud. A point for the Outlaws returning and winning the tag team titles. A point for Batista's return. A point for Batista winning the Royal Rumble. A point for Rey Mysterio returning, although I might have screwed that up. Was he at Survivor Series? I was thinking this was his return, but he may have been.
He was a Survivor Series, but I'm wondering if he was off TV for a bit.
Well, he had been out for a while. This was his return in 2013, wasn't it? Wasn't he? Because he left
came
for a
back
few
to
years.
Survivor Series, and I think he.
All right, we'll call it his Rumble return. Whatever. It's his
Yeah.
first Rumble in forever, so we'll call it that. +3 for the Shield's Rumble debuts. A point for Rusev making his main roster debut. He pops up in the Rumble during his time in NXT, and he doesn't show up in the main roster in full, I think, for a little bit. But a point for Reigns' mega run, sets the record with eliminations for 12, gets the big Diesel push. And speaking of Diesel, a point for Nash being the surprise entrant. A point for Sheamus' surprise return from injury. A point for Reigns eliminating Rollins and Ambrose, which is important for their future. And then a point for Punk and Rollins starting the Rumble, which in retrospect, 12 years later, is the dominant feud right now in WWE. It was kind of a cool touch to see the two of them going at it to kick off 2013 Rumble, given where they're at right now, still fighting, coming off of SummerSlam 2025. So a lot of moments of the show, like stuff definitely happens.
Yeah. Let's see what happens that we count as a negative. We get the infamous Orton and Cena crowd rebellion. We get a sad week ending for the great Rhodes Brothers tag team title run. Pre-show to Relics. We get Bryan left out of the Rumble, -3 there. We get Punk's last match, leaves with raging anger and lawsuits and MRSA, -3, and Rumble match, crowd rebellion in general. So
very infamous. Usually we don't put crowd stuff here, but those are like two famous moments for the company.
Yeah. Again, it's hard to like call it a hijacking of the show. It's just like they are being very vocal about what they're being fed, and again, like it's Pittsburgh, and I know they had started making the pay-per-views a little bit of a destination event, but like it's not Chicago, it's not the Garden. It's like you're upsetting Pittsburgh. Like how bad of a job are you actually?
I was already pissed off to begin with, and I don't want to come across hypocritical because in the next year, my whole stance is Bryan shouldn't be in that Rumble if he's not going to win, right? They set themselves up for failure. But here, I think he should be in and win. Like, so I don't want to say just left out of the Rumble. I think he should be in the Rumble and have won the Rumble. Like, I don't think just having him in would have been good because then it would have been even more pissed off. So this was probably the next best choice if he's not going to win. In 15, I think it's a huge mistake they make by saying he was healthy enough to be in that Rumble. And we'll cover that someday. But all right, notable moments, totals 6. So again, shit happens on the show for sure. All right, let's get to card structure. A point for opening with Bryan losing to maybe set up a surprise Rumble entry, get everyone excited. A point for a good Shield promo being coy about their draws to tease either union or dissension to each other. A point for the tight card. We're in and out. There's no bullshit between matches. Like we are boom, boom, boom. A point for the Wyatts attacking Cena. It's a good setup for Mania. You're starting your road to Mania. A great Mae Young tribute video. I thought that was one of the highlights of the show, honestly. It was excellent. They really touched on her whole history, and it was very heartfelt and how much she meant to all them. You could tell like they really poured a lot into it. So that was cool, and she's not problematic like her friend. Punk Rollins Rumble start, a good way to set the tone, and then a point for Punk and Rollins getting good Iron Man runs as well. So, you know, there's some decent setups on this show.
Yeah. For our cons, we have Lesnar's first match since the SummerSlam Classic against Fart Bomb. Spiraling Big Show. We get Show Lesnar structure being really weird with long pre-match and post-match chair beatdowns, just dragging on and on and on. Like you should just went in there, picked him up, F5'd him, and go home.
Right, and then you could do a tag match.
Yeah,
or just put him in the Rumble. Just have Brock kick the shit out of him with the chair in the Rumble, and then, you know, whatever, he gets like ganged up and thrown out, or maybe you do the gong or something. And, you know, if you want, like, I don't know, just,
Cena and Orton again, everyone was just kind of done with it all. We talked about that. Get the tag title match on the pre-show with a pretty light card. Bryan left out of the Royal Rumble, kills everything. Reyes 30 kills his whole return, his pop, and the Royal Rumble buzz.
I don't know why it's stuck in my head that it was his return.
And Batista done dirty with this setup. So a lot of cons.
Yeah, Tony Cons, Shaka Cons,
Contron,
Scott Con, San Diego Comic Con. All right, 0 for card structure. Rewatchability, point for Brock's F5, which did look cool once he actually hit it. Orton's mid-match reaction to the crowd when he gets mesmerized by it was really cool. Like it kind of clicks for him what's going on. He's kind of looking around, and that's when you can see like the bulb go off on him, and they start to turn the match around. They did a really cool entrant promos before the Rumble with all the entrants, kind of classic early 90s style, which was cool. Kofi, you know, had his usual tease on the elimination, did a leap from the barricade to the ring, which is cool. Torito was real fun in the Rumble. That was cool that they put him in there. And they tease it with the Matadors coming out, and then they step aside and he comes running through the cape. A point for Roman's run in the Rumble, and then a point for Wyatt's sister Abigail into the barricade. We talked about that. It's a nasty spot.
Yeah. For our cons for rewatchability, we get tough to watch Bryan with the concussion storyline around this time, and like I think he was shoot concussed in that cage, so I don't think he was 1,000% heading into this. Back end of a pretty good Rumble match is a disaster because, Bryan, we get Kane eliminating Punk to end his great run. See you later. And then Batista getting booed out of the building for his big return and win.
No all-time match. Our rewatchability score is 3. No all-time matches either way. And it's sad because you look at this show and it's destroyed by that one booking decision. Like, yeah, I think Cena Orton rallied enough to save that match. But the Bryan, like all the negatives on the show are pretty much like Bryan related, which also bleeds into Batista and Ray. And like that all trickles down from that one decision to not have him in the Rumble and not be your choice at this time. And to me, that really sinks the show. Like that, everything builds around that. Look at just like on this list, and then the Punk stuff. So that gives us a final score of 11.75, 97th all time on our list. So not a great spot to be when you look at our kind of all time rankings, and that is out of 139 shows. So, I mean, we're talking bottom quadrant for sure for a Rumble, which there should never be that bad in the Royal Rumble. It like has it all. Like the Royal Rumble has a great match baked in that eats up a third minimum of the card. Like to me, like the Rumble should always be good,
Yeah.
It should be the easiest layup of the year for them to nail.
Yeah, but we've seen them blow it a lot on the show.
All right. Let's hit our top 10. And then I was able to pull up about 9 or 12 pictures or so from the Rumble. We'll share them at the end here. All right. Our 10th place show of all time is SummerSlam 1992 at 38.25.
And number 9 at the SummerSlam 2001 with a 39.
Number 8, SummerSlam 2015 at 39.25.
Number 7, WrestleMania 7 with a 39.5.
Number 6, Vengeance 2005 at 41.
Into the top 5 with SummerSlam 1990 with a 42.
2 hearts beating as 1. Rumble 2002 finishes 4th at 44.
Number 3, SummerSlam 2005 with a 46.5.
Number 2 is WrestleMania 22 at 56.5.
And our number 1 show, the outlier so far, is ECW One Night Stand 2005 with a plus 79.
And as you can see, the SummerSlam always reps strong for us here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are our top 10 are SummerSlams. All right, Tim, I'm going to throw up some pictures here. We'll start with the washout, the one I mentioned. Me and Kev here. You can tell I'm just like barely surviving at this point. Like I'm not hanging out at all. Just washed out. Here's our group pick with me and Kevin in the middle there. We got Brad, Poirier, D'Amato, Steve Willie, and Chad on the right. This is Poirier meeting Hansen. Talking to him. Here's the Brain Trust that rolls up PTBN, me, Chad, and Brad. Here's Claire in the audience right around when he was telling me that we're good with Brian. Like, oh, yeah, no, he's going to win. He's going to win. This is him right there. Here's D'Amato pointing to the WrestleMania sign. Me and Claire in the lobby. Me and the Cowboy. This was funny. I look over and D'Amato's doing the Bray Wyatt walk up and down the railing. Did I get a picture of that? Here's the whole crew in the lobby here. We got Krasafi and his kid over there. That's Brad's buddy Brian, I think, on the right. You can see Willie with his hand on his head for the Batista win, and then Jordan Duncan on the left doing the no for the win there. And then this is me after I met the Twin Towers in the hotel lobby, so that was a highlight.
All right.
And then me and Claire, I'm in rough shape here at the end of the night. Poirier and Hansen definitely wins the night, though.
I don't know why I thought Hansen would be like at a table or
nope. He was just walking around and Poirier. I think we told Kevin. I think we're like, can you get Hansen for us? Because like this guy's like a diehard fan. I think he went and got him for us. He came out. He had to deal with Mark gushing over him. So it was funny. Different era for sure, but a lot of fun memories on that night, despite the illness. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this show. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Elimination Chamber 2014. And a month from today, we'll be here at WrestleMania 30. And then after that, it's new season time, buddy. We'll be doing our awards too at that time as well. So, all right, we're going to wrap things up. Be sure to check out everything at North South Connection. We appreciate you listening, watching, sharing, liking, loving, commenting. Be sure to continue to live your life above replacement level, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.